Well, Patti, I am so excited that we finally get to have our conversation with Adam Niec, who's a friend of mine. I just drove out a couple of weeks ago to his office in Ohio, and we're talking about Rate Tracker. Everybody's always asking me, James, how do I generate more leads in merchant services? Today, we're finally going to give you an answer to that question.
And it's a great answer, I think. I mean, Adam was really open and conversant about what he's doing, and I think people are going to really benefit from it.
Yep.
And then I have a report on some of the payment trends that have been kicked into overdrive by the pandemic, what it might mean for selling in the future. And then, James, you had a really great question from the field.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really just wanted to dive into price increases because one of the key things about Rate Tracker is this transparency it's going to add to the industry. And so I want to talk about that and how it relates to doing price increases and making those important decisions.
Yeah, and today's episode is sponsored by NMI. You can get more information by going to ccsalespro.com/N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, I as in Indigo.
Awesome. Let's jump into the episode and start with our interview.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Merchant Sales Podcast.
Everybody, we are here today with Adam Niec, the founder of Rate Tracker. How you doing today, Adam?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I got the pleasure of actually driving out, meeting with Adam at his headquarters in Ohio, and I've really been looking forward to this conversation about generating merchant leads. It is, nothing is more popular in terms of topics in these Facebook groups and writing online and stuff. And so we're going to talk about Rate Tracker and how you see this, unfolding. But before we do that, Adam, give us a little bit of a background. I know you have a really interesting journey in the payment space. How did you get into this industry? And then tell us about kind of this rationale of starting Rate Tracker.
Cool. Yeah. So I think safe to say I got into the payments industry by accident. I had a patent pending on a technology that involved rewards programs. And I got started selling for another payment processor right out of college. I was working on that project while in college. And I got into selling to small businesses. I fell in love with payment processing. I decided to launch that product. It failed miserably. That was in 2017. And then I came back to right back to where I was selling and resigned, 2 years after that and launched my ISO Certain Pay.
Awesome.
And then Rate Tracker was like a year after that. So I've been working on it for like 2 years. So
awesome. Rate Tracker does not relate to what you did back previously.
No, well, I own two companies. I own Rate Tracker and Certain Pay, right?
Gotcha.
Certain Pay is an ISO. We've been in business for 2.5 years, and Rate Tracker is the software that I license out to, competing agents in the industry. And
Sure.
Cool.
Just wanted to be sure of that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Our audience always love to hear that. So that's good.
Yeah.
So Adam, let's dive into this. So I'm so excited about this because I really want our audience to understand it. This is a little bit of a new technology. It's not something a lot of our audience may have not been exposed to previously. So let's start with the merchant. Okay. So not worried about the agent. We'll get to how the agents are going to use it. But as far as a merchant, a small business owner, why would they sign up for Rate Tracker? And then kind of walk us through that. What does that mean? They sign up. What does that mean? That, what's that process? And then what do they get? So kind of walk us through that merchant perspective, if you would.
So the reason why they would sign up is because Rate Tracker is the simplest way for a merchant to know their total fees, total sales, and then their effective rate, right? Everybody talks about, unless they're on cash discount, right? Everybody talks about, they want to save somebody money. That's kind of, usually water under the bridge at this point because everyone's saying it. Merchants get intrigued by the concept of it because of how it spins the conversation. It spins it towards trust, accountability, and especially in today's world with COVID really affecting a lot of small businesses, simple is best, and knowing your numbers is key and crucial to stay in business. So instead of them trying to figure out what their effective rate was and what they're paying, they get a text message and an email every month that tells them that information, last month's fees, sales, rate, and then they even have a dashboard that they can log into and view their numbers and all that great stuff. I'm trying to simplify pricing, rates, and fees for merchants so that they're not unknowingly taken advantage of.
And give us a little bit of a snapshot of how you get that. So when they sign up, what do they have to do so that you can get this data and then share it with them?
Sure. Two ways they could do it, right? They could sign up for free at just ratetracker.io, or they go to a specific agent's link, and we can get into that in a second. And then all they need to do is sign up for free, create a profile, and then they connect their bank account via Plaid. Plaid is the same API that it connects the banking world, right? It's the same API that Venmo uses and PayPal and Coinbase and all that. And that's how we see the information. And RateTracker's algorithm is designed to sniff out the different credit card processing descriptors. We've got like 80 or so coded in. And a merchant can sign up, connect their bank account, and agents are able to see literally every single merchant account that they either have or had, and puts everything into perspective for both sides. There's more transparency on both sides, and allows you to keep better tabs on the books of business that you have. So
Cool. Hey, let's get, if you don't mind, now I'd like to talk about the agent perspective for a minute here. What would be the typical scenario where an agent would be using RateTracker, and how do they sign up a merchant for such an account?
So agents would use it if you can take RateTracker and implement it into however you do business now. It is all about lead generation, right? That's the big question in today's world. How are you generating leads? You can knock on doors, you can go to referral groups, you can work with your existing clients. I think social media and online is becoming stronger and more relevant, and RateTracker can literally tie into all those types of business development channels, right? For example, if you knock on doors, you can go into your agent dashboard, which is, it's a username password portal that you can use to build your portfolios. And inside of that portal, you can create a flyer and slap a QR code on it automatically. And when you go out prospecting, you're not leading with, hey, Mr. Merchant, I want an appointment, or get me a statement, I can save you money. It's like, you can go in and say, hey, I know I'm the third person in here today that, says they can save you money. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give you something for free, give you something valuable. And all you have to do is scan this QR code and you'll be set up. You can sign up for free, right? That merchant shows up on the agent's dashboard. The agent they can log in like a CRM, and they can see the contact information, all that great stuff. But it takes it a step further because their volume, their fees, their effective rate, and it even goes back 24 months. So you essentially can get 24 months of effective rate data, which saves a bunch of time because you don't have to do those statement analyses, right? Now, why would an agent use it? Because they want to sell more mids and they want to build more referral relationships. And also they want to hang on to their clients longer, right? RateTracker introduces like an unforeseen approach towards transparency and ethics. And there are plenty of really great agents in the industry that love the concept because it finally lets them play on the same level of in the merchant's eyes as the guy up the street that's going to do it at 5 and 5 and then raise it up to, X% and play that game of cat and mouse. Go ahead.
No, I was just asking, you say that the agent, while prospecting, would go in there and say, hey, here's something I want to give to you, set this up, right? So what's been the experience with merchants saying, yeah, I'll take that, as opposed to saying, hey, I don't have time for that?
Nobody says they don't have time for it. It's either so anytime you introduce a new product to the market, you fight against the do nothing, right?
Of course.
If they don't want to do something, they don't want to do it, right? It's just like cash discount where it's an option in the selling process, right? The merchant doesn't have to necessarily sign up for RateTracker for both sides of the conversation to get value. Obviously, if you don't get the business, or even if you do, that merchant is going to be even happier, feeling like they're in great hands because you signed them up with RateTracker, right? I would say from a conversion standpoint, I don't have hard data on it because it's difficult to track.
Sure.
I'd say it's like a 33% success rate.
Okay.
1 in 3.
Okay.
And the thing about it that's really interesting is that even when you bring it up in conversation, merchants love the fact that we either stand behind it or somebody that's out in the field uses it, and it just builds rapport and credibility, right?
Right.
It's kind of like that, early on momentum. I literally just launched this product and I'm mostly focused on user feedback. So agents, referral partners, and merchants, there's 3 types of users. And what I'm trying to figure out is what's the best way to carry out my mission, which is to stop egregious and irresponsible rate increases.
Right.
So there's a lot of experimenting going on here, right?
Yeah.
It's been good so far.
Yeah. So I think this is a good spot. I want to dive into some more details here, Adam. And I think what I want to do is I want to zoom out for just a second. I'm going to restate kind of the elevator pitch version of what Rate Tracker is, as I think you've just described it. And you correct me if I'm wrong, because I really want to make sure our audience gets kind of the simplicity of this, right? So at its core, the idea is a business owner using Plaid, and those who are not familiar with Plaid is where a business owner basically can log into their own online banking, basically through Plaid. It's a secure way to do that, where it's not sharing their user information with Rate Tracker, of course. So they log into their bank account and they authorize Rate Tracker to have access to their business bank account transactions. Then Rate Tracker looks at all those transactions and pulls out, using your algorithm, and you identify and say, here are the transactions that are deposits that came from your credit card processing company. Mm-hmm. Here are the fees or the negative transactions that represent fees charged by your processing company. Mm-hmm. Then you take those total fees divided by total volume and you get an effective rate. And so the idea would be, number one, this tells the merchant and the agent how much the merchant's really paying. So when they say, oh, I'm only paying 1%, well, they sign up for Rate Tracker and they're like, well, wait a second, you paid 3.2% or 2.8% or whatever it is, right? And then secondly, it validates this idea that, look, I'm signing you up for this because even if you go with me, I want you to have confidence that every month you're going to get a text and an email that says, here is your effective rate. And this way you will know for sure that I'm never going to do a price increase, because if I do, it's literally, I'm going to be notifying you every month that I did a price increase, which is stupid. So this just shows you how transparent and honest. Is that a good explanation? Did I miss anything?
That's basically it. So, I mean, even if you don't close a sale, let's say you sign up a merchant with Rate Tracker and that you don't get the business, every month their Rate Tracker follows up for you and it tells the merchant their last month's fees, their last month's sales, and then their effective rate. It's only a matter of time until either that merchant gets a rate increase, Rate Tracker finds out immediately because it's all right there. It's the effective rate is really what matters when it comes to pricing and fees. Right. When that rate increase happens, the processor notifies the merchant on their statement that they don't read or don't even get. The merchant just sees money in and money out. And, they often don't catch a rate increase until years down the line, right? Until they're making the decision to reevaluate their processor. So it follows up for you. And when they get those emails and the texts, the merchant can log into their dashboard and there's a button there that's right by their last 2 years of effective rate data. It says, talk to a payments expert. And when that happens, if you're the agent that either directly or indirectly signed up that merchant, you get an email from Rate Tracker that says, hey, you have a hot lead. So-and-so reached out for these reasons. And here's their contact information. Go close a sale. Yep. That's how it works over the long term. But really what it is, and speaking of this podcast, it's a lead generator, because sometimes merchants don't want to connect their bank account. It's probably like 2 out of 10 question it. Most of them do it, right? We live in a digital age now. Right. They can drag and drop a statement. And when that happens, the agent that's directly or indirectly related to that merchant, they get a statement emailed to them, and that's a lead. Go close that sale. That merchant is saying, I want somebody from this company, Rate Tracker, that stands for transparency. I want them to see if I'm getting a fair deal, right? And by doing that, it kind of creates like a what's the right word? It creates like a positive and like reinforcing environment for that merchant. You're not just like another agent. And no offense, I mean, we all do the same thing. We're kind of commoditized. So, it's a good thing. It's a nice thing to stand behind. So
I like it. So so this idea of generating leads, which was really my next question, I think you just covered beautifully, which is this idea that, let's say I'm out in the field, I'm prospecting every day, and every day maybe I'm making 1 sale a day, but I'm also adding 3 or 4 people into my Rate Tracker, right? They're not saying yes right now, but I'm saying, well, hey, if you're not going to say yes, that credit card processing companies increase rates all the time, right? Yes. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and add you to this. So at least you can keep track. And if they do ever increase your rate, you can reach out and let me know. Yeah. Right. So that's the lead generation side. So I want to talk about that a little bit further. So how do we implement this, right? So I just gave kind of an example. What are some other examples you're seeing of either yourself or other people that have been out in the field speaking to merchants? How are they actually implementing Rate Tracker in a way that enables them to get a lot of leads?
So I think the best way to go about our business and lead generation is referral partners, right?
Yes.
Like Rate Tracker is a way to connect further with your referral partners. Say it's an accounting company or a bookkeeper or whatever. Rate Tracker is a way to digitally connect to your referral partners and help your referral partners give something to their audience for free that's going to benefit them and potentially save them thousands of dollars. So hypothetical situation, maybe you have a referral partner that's a bookkeeper. They do bookkeeping for 500 merchants, and there's already content created, email campaigns that I actually wrote. The bookkeeper can introduce Rate Tracker to their audience by using their referral link that they got sent to them from the agent. Like, it's all connected on the back end to the agent dashboard. That's why I said directly or indirectly. So imagine if you have a bookkeeper client or a referral partner and you tell them about, hey, check this out, this is a really cool product. Like, referral partners don't have to pay. They have the leads. They're probably the most important user inside of Rate Tracker of the three. And when they might send out an email blast or put it on their website, there's a bunch of ways we could do it where maybe 14 people decide, hey, that's cool, I want to drag and drop my statement. Well, the agent just gets 14 statements in their inbox, and those are 14 leads and deals and opportunities to go close. And meanwhile, the referral partner is strengthening their relationship with their clients by giving them something for free that adds value. Yeah,
I love it. Right. I love it. Okay, so I think we've established it. I feel like, I've got a pretty good idea of this. So I do want to talk about the future just a little bit here. So, obviously as a result of this, Adam, you're going to be grabbing all kinds of data from merchants, hopefully gathering a lot of data from merchants, building this out where individual agents are going to have eventually 300, 400, 500 merchants that they're, every month they're getting 5, 6, 10, 20 leads of people that are like, hey, this person just got a rate increase, right? And so I think we get all of that. Where are you trying to take this? What do you see this? I know you're kind of starting this out. What are some of your short-term and long-term goals that you see with Rate Tracker?
So short-term goal is to continue to get feedback, figure out what people want. We've kind of been listening to what agents want, merchants and referral partners. Monetize it, right? It costs me money every month to run with development and all that. I'm about 160 grand, give or take, into this thing. And I just got a $9,000 invoice the other day too, which is, it's just part of it. Like, I'm so into this idea and this, what it's going to do for the industry, that I don't care about that. But my short-term goal, figure out how to monetize it, make it profitable, all that stuff, end user feedback. Long-term goal, I want you to picture like 3 years in advance where the business that we operate in is even more driven by technology and service. And people are going to look back and say, hey, remember when this was like an industry full of deception and greed? Well, that doesn't happen anymore because Rate Tracker has become the standard of ethics in the industry. And you can sell deals at a higher margin as long as it's consistent. Most merchants would rather pay a higher margin consistently than pay down here and then get jacked up to here.
Right.
So I really want to improve the overall integrity of the industry. I think there's a lot of people that agree with me. And I also want this thing to become like the Carfax of the payments industry. Like, you wouldn't buy a used car if it wasn't for the Carfax. You want to look under the hood and make sure. Just like you wouldn't switch payment processors unless it was an ISO or an agent that was Rate Tracker certified. And that's all based on the data that they provide, that shows like, hey, this ISO has 4,000 users and their effective rates are very consistent. But this one, kind of choppy, like they're known to do rate increases. All right, well, they shouldn't have certification and trust in the eyes of the public. And I'm going to make it as unbiased as I can possibly make it because I care about the greater good of the whole industry and the agents that are out there doing business honestly that are losing deals to the dishonest ones. I think that should go away. It should be based on more things other than price. And it's interesting how Rate Tracker actually gets the conversation away from price because the merchant feels comfortable. And like the fact that you invest in a product as an agent and pay a SaaS fee every month or however you sign up shows that you actually believe in doing the right thing and you're willing to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And to kind of address what you were saying, because there's two pushbacks to this. Number one, I sell a lot of cash discounts, so this isn't relevant for me. it will get you in the door at places like that you normally wouldn't, because it's a new concept. Even if somebody's already on cash discount, believe it or not, it's worked on our side. And then the other thing is, how do I know you're not going to steal my leads? You own an ISO, Adam. And I'll tell you this, I love my ISO. It's awesome. Like, just like you, James, like never would bite the hand that feeds me. You know, I actually help agents that have signed up for Rate Tracker already. I help them close deals if they want my help, and they board them with their ISO. I don't really care. I think about this very abundantly. And the last thing I would do is try to steal people's leads. I think that would be small thinking. Right. And also, I just don't operate that way, you know. Yeah. I always
plus, of course, you'll, you know, if you pull this off, Adam, you'll be the only person in the industry that has an ISO and another business, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
It's like everyone listening right now is like, what is he talking about? I have one ISO, I have another one I'm part owner in, and then I have a processor agnostic something else. So,
yeah, right,
you know, we all understand for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just dive a little bit more into the economics, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You know, does the ISO or the agent pay for this service? I think you mentioned a licensing fee, I believe.
Yeah.
And what do the merchants pay, if anything? You know, can you share a few of those details? You know, to help our audience understand better where the where the business case is for this.
Absolutely. So merchants and referral partners, those two user types in Rate Tracker do not pay for it. Eventually, there might be a paid version, but I'm not really interested in that right now. I want it to get in as many hands as possible. Agents, individual agents can sign up for based on two terms, either $97 a month on a month-to-month basis, or you can buy a full year of unlimited access upfront for $497. So you can sign up unlimited merchants, unlimited referral partners, and you get the product for a year. I obviously, like, it doesn't matter to me how people sign up. But when you get that $500 in and you pay for the whole year, the product that we see now is it's constantly being worked on, and it's going to be improved. So I think that that's a hell of a deal. Pardon my French. It is discounted in my mind, because if you sell one account, by leveraging it, it pays for itself.
Pays for itself, right?
Yeah, and like you also, I mean, there's a viral component that I want to implement where customer or end users will be incentivized by Rate Tracker to spread the word using their specific affiliate link. So imagine you go out and get 100 end users, and those 100 end users bring you more end users. Those are all leads to close, and it's a wide open market right now because there's only a few hundred users. And eventually, like, this could be the thing that every merchant has. And if you're early, which it's still early, you have a good opportunity to get a bunch of end users and sell a lot of mids, right? Now, all that's kind of like a big theory. It's a big experiment, right? And there's ways to optimize the usage of it. Like, we do trainings. We want people, if they pay us, we want them to be successful with it.
Sure.
And we do have packages for ISOs too. So ISOs are different. We base it on the number of agents that they have. And we have pricing set for up to 25 agents in an office, and we just started rolling out the enterprise package. So that's fairly new.
So most of your experience then is with individual agents, not with ISOs.
Yeah, and I wanted to focus on that because, like, I mean, I still kind of sell accounts here and there, not really for my ISO, but I mean, I did direct sales for 6.5, 7 years as an agent, sold a lot of mids. Like, I know what it's like to go out and hunt, and I know what it's like to build referrals and all that. I've done it, right? I've sold over 600 accounts in my career, and Rate Tracker probably helped me close 50 or 60 of them in the last year or so. So mostly just from beta testing it. Like, it's really cool what it does. So
yeah, I can definitely vouch for it. I mean, to me, I got a demo again when I came out, a few weeks ago there in Ohio. And, to me, the interesting thing is, Rate Tracker being built on Plaid, I think that gives you so much kind of reputational inertia, right? Yep. So it's like everybody trusts Plaid. So I think merchants in general, that many of them have already used Plaid when they applied for their home equity loan or when they got their car or whatever it is, right? So they've used Plaid in the past. They've used QuickBooks. They understand this connection point, right? And yeah, to me, I think it's a really revolutionary concept because, like you said, Adam, I love the way you put it that, by focusing on price, a Rate Tracker is taking price out of the equation. So, one of the most common things, like I think one of the main objections that actually exists that doesn't get verbalized very much is, well, how do I know you're not going to raise my rate?
Yep.
Right. Because, they get the rate raised all the time and they may not say that, but I think as an agent, even if you're going in to close the account, it's like, now look, in addition to merchant services, I'm going to give you Rate Tracker for free. And that's like my scorecard. So you will know if there is a rate increase because you're going to get a text and an email every month. And like, I like that idea. And I like the idea of kind of the cold leads of just going in and saying, hey, let's get signed up for this. And if you're going to tell me no today, well, I bet if you get a big price increase, you're going to be more interested, right? Okay, great. Well, let's track it. So I love it. I think it's cool. So I do want to give out, because Adam, right before the event here, the podcast, Adam and I created a little link. So I've been involved with Rate Tracker. So I have my own kind of affiliate link for ISOs and agents, just because I believe in it so much. I wanted to help Adam promote it. So you can go to ccsalespro.com/rate tracker, all lowercase, all one word. So ccsalespro.com/rate tracker. And that'll take you right over to one of these forums where you can sign up and learn more about it. But Adam, where else would you send people to learn more? Give us the company website and, your contact info for the larger ISOs that would want to reach out.
For sure. It's you could go to the website, which is www.ratetracker.io, and the email, it's just hello@ratetracker.io. That's managed by my assistant, and then I have a founding members team of guys that work behind the scenes to either sell it, service it. We're doing a lot of cool stuff, so one of us will get it and we'll respond to you to either set up a demo or do a call, whatever you want to do to see it.
Awesome. Adam, thank you so much for your time and this really creative idea. I'm super excited to have you back on in like 6 months or a year when we kind of hear about how it's exploded. I really think it's going to be a big thing. So thank you for taking the time to share it with us today.
Yeah, Adam, really great talking to you again. Thank you so much.
You as well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Patti, I talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it again. I've got a live event coming up October 19th at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I'm really excited about this one. We've got several of the executives from Stacks, formerly Fat Merchant. A lot of people in the industry know about them. They know about their incredible technology. They just did a big capital raise. So they're taking off. And what a lot of people don't know is that they built some of their technology in partnership and on top of the NMI gateway.
Right.
And so we're just talking about this idea of what is a next gen ISO? What's the idea of this next generation ISO? What is an ISO going to look like in 5 years? And we can already see that pattern with Stacks. And it's incredible what they've accomplished. It's really cool for me because obviously I know NMI really well. And then Stacks, like the first time I did a consulting for them and trained, they had like 3 sales reps that I trained in this little tiny office. And now they're this huge company. And I've been out there many, many times. So I know them really well. I know NMI really well. So I'm just going to be kind of the moderator and letting everybody gain from these insights of these extremely successful people that have done integrated technology. So if you want to jump on that event, go to ccsalespro.com/NMI, ccsalespro.com/NMI. Just for a short period of time here, we're redirecting that link directly to the registration page. So you can get registered for the event. Make sure you reserve your seat. I'm sure we'll fill up that event and it'll be a really good one. So don't miss out.
And even if you're on the West Coast, 7 o'clock is not that early. Get up and check it out.
Absolutely. Well, and also if you register and you don't attend, we will email you the replay. So awesome. Even if you can't attend, go ahead and register. That way you at least get the replay.
Awesome. Thanks, James.
And now, here is Questions from the Field with James Shepard.
So, Patti, I thought a great question for today would be to talk about rate increases. Should we do them as an ISO? Should the agent try to exclude their merchants? All of that. And so I think rate increases are a just very, very interesting topic because there's a lot of different sides to look at. And I'm one of these people that I don't have a direct opinion on price increases are bad or price increases are good. Right. I think that with the advent of technology like Rate Tracker, as that starts to gain steam, that's absolutely going to change the decision-making process a bit because you're going to have to think, well, if I do rate increases, my merchants might have a solution like Rate Tracker that will alert my competitors, right? But it's not, obviously a leading solution yet. And so when we think about, price increases, what I like to think about is several factors, okay? So number one, what does your brand stand for? What does your brand stand for? For a lot of ISOs out there, the truth is their brand stands for nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Their brand is a logo on the business card of a 1099 sales rep that they use to make a sale.
Or on their website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when, to be clear, when I say, what does your brand stand for? I don't mean, what do you wish your brand stood for?
Right. Right.
I mean, what
does
what does it actually stand for? Because a brand is just a word in the mind of the consumer or the client, right? So when I say your brand stands for nothing, what I mean is, if I go into your merchant and I say, what does the name XYZ processing company, what does that name mean to you? What would they say? You're like, oh, our brand stands for integrity and good customer service. And okay. So you're saying, if I go and ask one of your merchants, what is XYZ processing company, that brand, what does that mean to you?
Right.
They would say integrity, good service. No, they would say, who's that?
That's what I was just going to say. That even if it's their processor, they probably wouldn't even know what the name was. Right. I mean, I've done that with companies. I've seen, like, we accept global. It's like, so how do you like global? What's global?
Right. And so I think that's the truth. And so, why do a lot of ISOs do price increases? Because their brand doesn't stand for anything. Why not?
Right. They can get away with it.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, why not do a price increase? Your brand doesn't stand for anything, right? So then you have to back up and say, okay, well, maybe our brand stands for something else. Maybe our brand stands for top tier, technology solutions, right? And so you're implementing amazing technology solutions. Maybe you have to shave the margin off initially to get the deal to make room for the cash flow for the technology. But as your technology is becoming more and more valuable to the merchant, you can maybe do a 10, 20 basis point price increase over time, because you realize, I'm not going to lose these people, and they're going to be very happy because they have this technology. They love this technology, and they didn't come with us because of our low pricing. They came with us because of our technology. We can afford to raise those rates a little bit, right? In a reasonable way. I'm not talking about, a 1% price increase, but, doing some reasonable price increases can make sense there, right? Or maybe your brand stands for simplicity and customer service, right? Well, and maybe one of your main goals is never drive attrition, okay? Well, then, of course, don't do a price increase.
Right.
Like, doesn't make any sense. Don't do a price increase. It's a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think when we talk about price increases, I think we have to take that into consideration. I think the other thing that needs to be taken into consideration when doing a price increase is you really need to get the input of the agents that have feet on the street that are involved with these merchants.
Sure.
Some of the larger ISOs, I love what they do, which is they notify their agents, hey, look, here is the price increase we are about to do. If you have merchants that you need to exclude from this price increase, go to this form, fill it out, or email us and let us know. Because, a lot of times, an agent will have a portfolio and they're like, well, I've got 60 mids, 58 of them, I don't think they're going to care. That's fine. I did price them really low initially and we need to get them up a little bit. But there's these two that are big accounts. I was competing with this other company and I really got them in at 6 basis points and 4 cents. And that was a challenge. I can't take them to 26 basis points. They're going to blow their top, So that's where you're reaching out and you're allowing those agents to use their knowledge and understanding to say, let's exclude some of these, right? But again, it ultimately comes back to, what does your brand stand for? Now, again, I'm saying all this within the context of our interview with Rate Tracker, because I think it's so important when you're, I always tell people, when I'm talking to them, I can't tell you how many times I have a conversation with a consulting client and they tell me something that they want to do. And I'll say, well, yeah, but you can't do that in this market. And they're like, well, yeah, but it shouldn't be that way. And I'm like, well, that's a whole different question.
That's a whole different question. Exactly.
It is that way. Like, you're not operating in a vacuum. There are competitors. There are competitive forces.
The reality.
Right.
Yes.
The reality right now today, and I've seen the stats, you can do regular price increases and not significantly impact attrition. Okay. There is a reason that most large companies do lots of price increases. It's because they can, and it doesn't drive attrition in a big way, as long as they do it carefully. That's just reality. Now, again, why is this so important? Because you need to be aware of companies like Rate Tracker, not because of a good or bad. Some people listening are like, oh, these companies like Rate Tracker are going to come in here and ruin the margins for the industry. Like, it's bad. Some of you are going to say, oh, this is what our industry needs, and more transparency, more honesty. I'm the pragmatist. So I'm kind of in the middle of, that's a cool technology. How is that going to impact the decisions my consulting clients are making? And I'm going to advise them accordingly, right? So as I see companies like Rate Tracker really kind of taking over and having, lots of reach into the marketplace, I'm going to start advising against price increases because they will start to drive attrition. And so from a purely monetary perspective, I'm not in the, my consulting practice is not a morality business. It's a profit-making business. And I'm trying to help people make more money from their processing activities. And so I'm like, hey, you know what? You could do a small price increase here because you have done a good job of focusing on technology and building your brand in a way that makes it kind of, attrition proof. So I think it's an individual question for the ISOs, but ultimately the price increases, there is no yes or no answer on the price increases. Is it a good idea to do a price increase? It depends. You need to be aware of the different factors, the different technology companies, what your value proposition is. And my final challenge would just be, again, audit what your brand actually stands for. Your brand doesn't stand for what you say it stands for. It stands for what your merchants believe about you.
Yes, exactly. Good stuff, James. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Insider's Report with Patti Murphy, brought to you by The Green Sheet.
Well, there's been a lot of reporting lately on the changes in shopping and payment habits that were spurred on by the pandemic. And I just completed an article for The Green Sheet on this, and I thought it would be interesting to share some of the results. One of the assessments that I got from many of the experts I consulted is that these are changes that are here to stay and to continue evolving. They're not one-off situations. So today I want to hone in on 5 particular trends, give you some data points that you can kind of use to formulate your plans in terms of taking advantage of these trends. Specifically, I'm going to talk about contactless, digital wallets, e-commerce, buy online for pickup in store or curbside, and buy now, pay later.
Okay.
So first up is contactless payments. 74% of consumers worldwide have used contactless payments now. And in the US, the number is a little closer to 50%. But again, we tend to be behind on those types of things. This is according to MasterCard. 67% of retailers offer consumers some form of contactless payment, according to NRF. That's the National Retail Federation, which does a comprehensive survey every year or two.
Right.
And 19% of those retailers say contactless payments account for more than half of their in-store transactions. I thought that was pretty significant.
That is. Yeah. Wow.
Now, moving on to digital wallets. Nearly 1 in 5 consumers globally has begun using digital wallets just since the pandemic. 58% of consumers are using QR or barcodes for payments. Now, that's globally. But the interesting thing, and this is from Blackhawk Network, the interesting thing here is about 1 in 5 of those are new to this. James, you and I have talked about this in the past. Used to be you take a QR code, you snap a picture on a poster or something, and it takes you to a website.
Right.
Then as the restrictions started easing up under the pandemic, you started going to restaurants, you found the menus were like that. Then the next step after that was not only was the menu, but you could
pay the receipt,
pay your bill.
Yep.
Some of the people I talked to said, look for in the future, especially because restaurants are having so much trouble staffing up, for a connection directly from that QR code to the kitchen.
Yep.
Just eliminate that wait staff at all, or at least minimize it.
Right.
Now, e-commerce is up next. I want to talk about that. Globally, e-commerce is on pace to reach $4.2 trillion this year, according to Adobe.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, isn't it? And 56% of Americans have been making online purchases since the start of the pandemic.
Only 56%. I'm surprised.
Right. I like you, I was a little surprised by that. But then, I started thinking about, you have a lot of people who are underbanked, as the expression goes.
Sure.
And you have a lot of people who have been hard hit by the pandemic and just can't spend.
Sure.
I think that 56 kind of accounts for, 5 folks that have kept their jobs and been able to shop, you know?
Right.
But here's something I thought was really interesting. In the month of March, just in the month of March, U.S. consumers spent $78 billion online.
Wow.
I mean,
And, only 70 billion of that was on Amazon.
right. Actually, surprisingly, they said some of the biggest companies for this were like the big box retailers.
Walmart, I'm sure, it's got to be
Walmart,
huge.
exactly. Best Buy.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Best Buy was another one. Target was another one.
Right. Yeah, which is interesting. Probably our listeners are the same as me, where, depending on where you live, I mean, if you actually think about your personal spend, that sounds about right. I mean, I think about, we do our groceries now with the delivery, which is an online thing from Walmart. I went to Best Buy and bought a bunch of stuff for our business. We hired more analysts. We needed to buy more computers and screens and all of that for our ISO amp company. So we spent a bunch of money at Best Buy. We spend money on Amazon and, and so, I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, all three of those are the same for me. Those are probably the ones that I've spent the most on in the last year: Walmart, Best Buy, and Amazon. Yeah. And
interesting.
But so I thought that was really interesting. Buy online for pickup in store or at the curbside. There's a new term for that. It's called click and collect.
Click and collect. Okay.
Much better than saying BOPIS or curbside.
Right.
Right? Because that's the kind of thing that I found that I was using a lot in my reporting. But click and collect kind of covers both of those scenarios.
Sure.
eMarketer reports that click and collect sales jumped 106.9% last year.
Wow.
And are on track to grow another 15% this year.
I mean, the growing the 15% this year is what really kind of surprises me because, we obviously understand last year. Right. But then this year being back to somewhat more normal, and it still is up even from where it, skyrocketed to the previous year. That's really crazy. Right. I think that goes to show how much those habits, have sticking power.
Well, I was doing some research the other day and came up with a very interesting data point, which was that to change your habits, the changing of habits, takes on average 66 days. Yeah. So we've been locked up. Most people were locked up for at least a year. So of course those change habits. That's a good point. And I think it also goes to what we were saying a moment ago. You're doing a lot of shopping online. I'm doing a lot of shopping online. Right. There's a lot of that pickup at curbside. I mean, I don't like going into the grocery store if I don't have to. Right. Right. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people that are just. So finally, I want to talk about buy now, pay later, because this is something that really blew my mind. Sure. Yeah. Again, you and I have talked about this for a couple of years. I think we did our first interview with somebody on this probably back in 2018 or 2019. Right. And it was a brand new concept to us then. Those transactions grew more than tenfold to total $39 billion last year, according to Mercator Advisory Group. Wow.
That's just amazing, because to me, that doesn't even really seem pandemic related. I mean, I guess in some ways, with economic strain. It is.
Yeah, because, and I've talked to a lot of people. I have my niece, she's probably about your age, and she was saying, "Oh, Aunt Patti, I love that buy now, pay later. It's not that I don't have the money, but I'd rather budget it out." And, and she does it for a lot of online purchases. I mean, but when you think that in 2019, that market was $3 billion, and now it's $39 billion. Right. And the other thing I found that I thought was very interesting is that it's not just for consumers. There's a company called Veeam, which is a global payments platform. It now offers buy now, pay later plans for B2B transactions.
Really?
Yeah. They told me that it's big with small businesses that are looking for ways to better manage their cash. The payoff terms are generally 3 months. And like the president of Veeam said to me, he's like, "Patti, it's all about choice. Pay by check, pay by debit card, pay by credit card, or take 3 months to pay for it."
Yeah, I like that.
I thought that was very interesting. And so, I think all of this, the message from all of this is that touchless commerce is here to stay. Yeah. And consumers as well as businesses want more choices in how they pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, super interesting stuff.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Thank you for listening to the Merchant Sales Podcast. Whether you are an industry veteran, processing executive, or just trying to learn about the payment space, we appreciate your time. The Merchant Sales Podcast is a joint production of greensheet.com and ccsalespro.com, and we hope you will tune in next week for more information and tips on building your merchant services business.